Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Morgan and I'm Council's Chief Executive Officer. I extend a warm welcome to all who are joining us this afternoon in person and online at the Cobram Civic Centre for this afternoon's unscheduled meeting of Council. Consistent with section 13.3 of our governance rules, Council officers have been authorised to record the public session of this meeting using appropriate recording devices. I now turn to the Chair for the prayer and acknowledgement of traditional owners.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Could I please ask people to rise whilst I read the prayer and acknowledgement of traditional owners? Almighty God, we humbly ask you to guide our deliberations for the welfare and benefit of the Moira Shire and its people whom we serve. Moira Shire Council acknowledges the Yorta Yorta Nation as the traditional owners of this land. We recognise the deep spiritual connection to land, waterways and community of the 8 clan groups of the Yorta Yorta Nation. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Please be seated. A very warm welcome to today's unscheduled meeting of the Moira Shire Council being held here in the Civic Centre in Cobram. A particular welcome to those people who might be joining us online via our live streaming service as well. Very warm welcome to you all. Do we have any apologies or requests for leave of absence?
No, Chair.
Are there any matters of conflict of interest to be declared in relation to matters on today's agenda?
No.
If not, we'll take it there are no conflicts of interest to be declared. We'll move to item 6 on today's agenda, and that is officer reports for determination. The first of those items is item 6.1, which is amendment to the 2026-2027 fees and charges schedule, administrative correction to additional curbside collection bin rates. And I'd invite the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Bo Mittner, to present this report.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek council endorsement of an amendment to the 2026-2027 fees and charges schedule to correct an administrative error identified following the adoption of the 2026-27 annual budget at the scheduled council meeting on the 24th of June 2026. In terms of background, so at this meeting, council resolved to adopt the 26-27 annual budget, which included 2 key components relevant to this matter. The first being the declaration of rates and charges, detailed in section 7.1.1 of the final 2026-27 annual budget, which included the curbside waste collection service charges. And the second was declaring and fixing the fees and charges detailed in section 9 of the final 2026-27 annual budget report. After the budget's adoption, it was identified that the additional curbside collection bin charges published in Section 9 do not align with the curbside collection charges formally declared under Section 7.1.1 of the 2026-27 annual budget report. This discrepancy had arisen from a data entry error during the preparation of the fees and charges schedule. The key point to highlight and be clear on is the legally operative charges for those are the ones declared by council under section 7.1.1. Section 9 as published contained an error. Therefore, the purpose of this report is simply to formally confirm the correct charges and authorise the publication of a correct fees and charges schedule. There's no budget impact as a result of this amendment and no change to the curbside collection service charges as declared by council. Should the recommendation be accepted, the Chief Executive Officer will be authorised to publish the corrected fees and charges schedule on Council's website, ensuring the public available document reflects Council's formal resolution. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mittner. Are there any questions in relation to this item? If not, is there a mover for this item today?
I'd like to move that Council, number 1, note the discrepancy identified in the fees and charges schedule, section 9, that was provided as part of the adopted 2026-2027 annual budget, endorsed at item 8.12 of the 24th of June 2026 scheduled council meeting. Number 2, note that the correct rates for the additional curbside collection bin charges are as declared by council in section 7.1.1 of the 2026-2027 annual budget in brackets, annual service charges, close brackets, are not as published in section 9 of the fees and charges schedule. Number 3, for the avoidance of doubt, confirms that it sets the additional curbside collection bin charges for the 2026-2027 financial year as in the table provided in the recommendation, consistent with the annual service charges originally declared under section 7.1.1. And number 4, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to publish the corrected fees and charges schedule reflecting the charges confirmed in recommendation 3 above.
And I'm happy to second that motion. Do you wish to speak as the mover of the motion?
Very briefly, this is a correction to make sure that there is a consistency between the two schedules that were in our report that came to Council for consideration last week. This is now clarifying and validating the adopted fees and charges. I'm very happy to see that this correction's occurred.
Thank you, Administrator Benedicto. I'm happy to put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 6.2 on today's agenda is former Yarrawonga Primary School site acquisition process, and I would invite the Director of Infrastructure, Ms Rachel Gadd, to present this report.
Thank you, Chair Administrator Emerson. This report brings together many years of work regarding the former Yarrawonga Primary School site at 2 Tom Street in Yarrawonga. It outlines the process, the due diligence and next steps for the acquisition of the site. A considerable amount of time has been invested in ensuring that the risks of this acquisition are addressed and mitigated. This has included a costing for the site upgrades, an independent prudential review, an expression of interest process for site tenants with financial investment potential, and a conditions of acquisitions plan which will gate this investment and determines at what stages the decisions must be brought back to Council for consideration through the process. In the short term, there will be a minimum outlay of $1.5 million through an existing budget allocation and a $1 million contribution from the Alexandra Park Group Limited to purchase and make the site safe. A dedicated project manager will also be recruited to manage this stage. The expression of interest process identified the Yarrawonga Mulwala Community Learning Centre as a suitable tenant for Building 1 and to activate the open spaces within the site through lease arrangements. Concurrently, a business case is being developed for the upgrade of Building 2 to become a council customer service centre, which will anchor council's presence in Yarrawonga. The remaining buildings will be held unallocated pending a community engagement and master planning process to establish a vision for the remaining areas of the site that are aligned with the community service requirements. The site activation is intended to progress in stages, as without confirmed external funding, it carries a real risk to Council's long-term financial position. The staged condition-based approach is specifically designed to keep the project within Council's agreed risk tolerances, and the information and recommendations in this report are about securing a valuable community asset for the Yarrawonga community through a responsible process. And the recommendations are as presented.
Thank you, Ms Gadd. I'm happy to move that Council Number 1 note the outcomes from the independent review as included in Attachment 1. And number 2, note that the Chief Executive Officer has conducted extensive due diligence, including completing an expression of interest process to inform the community of the first right of refusal and determine viable options for staged activation of the former Yarrawonga Primary School site. Number 3, authorise the CEO to... Sorry, I'm not sure I've got the right version. Sorry, I have. Authorise the CEO progress discussions with the Yarrawonga Mulwala Community Learning Centre as a potential long-term partner for the refurbishment of Building 1 and surrounds, and to progress business case development for the refurbishment of Building 2 as a council customer service centre, as both shown in the site plan in Attachment 2. And number 4, authorise the CEO to finalise the negotiations with the Victorian State Government under the first right of refusal process and to acquire the former Yarrawonga Primary School site as per the site plan in Attachment 2 and in accordance with the condition of acquisition plan as included in Attachment 3. Is there a seconder for that motion?
I second that motion.
Thank you, Administrator Benedica. As Ms Gadd has indicated, this matter has had a long journey. It did commence back in 2019, including in 2020, the state government commencing the first right of refusal process and council indicating its intent to secure the site. The site does provide an opportunity to secure a strategically significant land holding for future community use in Yarrawonga. It does provide the opportunity to preserve long-term flexibility for the site in a staged activation approach. And importantly, it does enable a staged approach to both planning, feasibility and activation that can be managed within the risk tolerances that have been articulated in the due diligence in front of us today at this meeting as well. It is worth highlighting that there has been an extensive due diligence process undertaken to bring us to this point. That has included the expression of interest process, whereby we ask the community who has an interest in securing the site and accompanying capital investment to enable the site to be activated. And I'm really pleased that as a part of that process, we have identified the Yarrawonga Mawala Community Learning Centre as a potential key tenant for the site. We have also had an independent prudential review undertaken, and this is identified, as it is required to do, the risks associated with acquisition and future activation. And it's important to understand that what we're talking about in terms of the motion before us tonight is stage 1, which is acquiring the site, understanding that future stages of activation will require subsequent funding and decisions to be made. The benefits in securing the site are significant, and whilst the prudential review has identified correctly a number of matters that need to be considered in both acquisition and future activation, I'm really pleased to see and to commend the staff for the work in preparing the condition of acquisition plan, which has enabled the implementation of strategies to enable our risk to be within our accepted tolerances. Any acquisition and future activation will need to strictly adhere to the conditions of acquisition plan to ensure those safeguards in the future. I also want to thank the Alexandra Park Trust Group for their generous offer of $1 million to assist with the acquisition of the former primary school site. This is a very significant gesture and one that is making the acquisition possible on behalf of the community. So we do look forward to now moving forward to concluding negotiations with the state government and securing the site for the future benefit of the Yarrawonga community and its surrounds. Do you wish to speak as seconder of the motion?
Thank you. I would like to also talk to the community support that we've had in developing the expressions of interest and responding to those expressions of interest, and particularly thank the Alexandra Park Trust for their investment in the future. Through the first right of refusal process, we do have the right to go and speak to the minister and see if we can have this land transferred to us, but we have the backup and the assurance of those funds to be able to enable that to happen. I also wanted to note that we have clearly indicated to the community a number of times that this is the intent with the site. Our council plan 2025-29 highlighted this as one of our key activities. Our council budget, which went out for consultation both in 2025-26 and 26-27, provided real opportunity for community members to be aware of this process and to have their say. And then the extensive consultation that went underway that was conducted in respect to the expressions of interest. It has had to take into account our cautious approach to risk management And the conditions of acquisition plan clearly lays out what can be accepted and what needs to come back to council for future decision. So this is not a carte blanche. It's a staged, gated approach to making a decision to be able to acquire this site for the community and for absolute community benefit in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Administrator Bernardaka. With that, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. There being no further business on today's unscheduled meeting agenda, that does bring us to the close of meeting. And with that, thank you to those people who have joined us, particularly on the online streaming service today, and to council officers that have supported today's meeting as well. With